Hi, my name is Karen Mosky, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to meet our wonderful candidate, Anthony Sanfilippo, who is running for the sheriff of Erie County. Now, just quickly to tell you a little bit about why I'm here. I was elected by the Democratic members of Erie County to represent them at the Pennsylvania State Committee. I'm also the vice chair of the Northwest Caucus, so I want to give a shout out and a hello to all of the Democrats out there who are watching, and I think that we are bringing you a true, really qualified candidate. Anthony, as you know, you are not the first Anthony Sanfilippo I have known in my life. Anthony's great uncle and his great aunt, Anthony Sanfilippo and Eileen Sanfilippo, were my neighbors for more than 20 years. So I know your family, I know your mother, she's my dear friend, and it is such a pleasure to be able to present you to the voters of Erie County. So with that, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself and why you're running? Excuse me.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Karen. Appreciate that introduction. And I'd like to tell everybody I'm happy to be here and tell everybody why I am running for sheriff.
Good. Well, tell us about your family.
Well, I am a lifelong resident of Erie County. I'm 46 years old. I grew up in Harbor Creek, graduated from Harbor Creek High School. My father's Tony Sanfilippo from Northeast. My mother, Victoria Fabrizio from Erie. I have a wonderful wife, Allison, of 18 years. We have 2 children. Our daughter Sophia is 17, and our son Joseph's 15. I've been a lifelong resident again of Erie County, and and that's why I'm here and ready to run for Erie County Sheriff.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your affiliation with the county sheriff's office?
Well, I've been there for 20 years. I've worked in every division there, so I had the experience. Mm-hmm. I've worked in the security on the doors. Then I went into our holding cell, and I also, after that, I went to our civil division. Then after the civil division, I am where I am currently, and that's in the warrant division, criminal division, where we take fugitives off the street.
Oh, that's a tough job.
Yeah, very important. Keeps us citizens safe.
Yes, it does. Thank you for that, by the way.
Yes.
Well, I want to ask you a little bit more about what your initiatives would be, and also fill us in a little bit on programs that you felt were successful in the past from the Sheriff's Department. Weed and Seed in particular, I think, might be interesting to our viewers.
Well, yeah, I've also was a member of our Erie County SWAT team, so I've been out in the community quite a bit, trying to serve the community in those areas. I'm a former member of the United States Marshals Fugitive Task Force, so we were able to get violent fugitives off the street with that task force. I've also a current member of the Erie County District Attorney's Office Gun Task Force, where we're taking illegal guns off the street and making the city streets a safer place to be.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you and I have spoken in the past several times about the importance of gun safety as opposed to gun control. And I think they may be interested in what you know about gun safety.
Well, I am a hunter, and I do preach gun safety. You know, we do have trigger locks available in our office. They're free to anybody, and we preach that. You know, I think it's very important. If you have a gun, if you own a gun, have a trigger lock. Also, you should have it in a safe, or a safe place where nobody can get to it except for yourself. And that's the difference between owning a gun and gun safety and just having a gun on the street.
Wonderful. That's a wonderful answer. It clarifies, I think, for a lot of people what your real philosophy is. So let's circle back to Weed and Seed. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I worked the Weed and Seed program for many years until the funding ran out. But that was a great community between us and the Erie Police Department. We had the state police and we had state parole involved in that. And we walked the streets, we'd drive the streets. We got to get out in the community and really do some community policing and stop the activity that was afoot in those hours when we were there. I think we really made a great impact with that Weed and Seed program.
That's good to hear. Would you be interested in trying to bring that back, or some kind of variation on it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'd look into some grants, and we'd love to get in with the Erie Police Department again in something like that. We also not that long ago, there was something like that, but it was a foot patrol program. Yeah. But that was designated right in Little Italy area. But we were literally on foot, and you walked the beat. So you basically went back to the old policing and you walked the beat. And that's when you really got to know the people in the community and you learn their concerns, which is very important.
Wonderful. Yeah. So my office is right in the city, and it's always nice. It was in the past, especially to see the police out so much. So hopefully you'll be able to bring that back,
I hope
Anthony.
so too.
Yeah, that was a good initiative that we had going there. Well, let's see. We want to talk a little bit about the Police Athletic League. I think that's something that not a lot of people know about. And you were a big football player, as your Uncle Anthony Filippo was a football player. Why don't you tell the folks a little bit about that?
Well, that Police Athletic League, I believe, is a very important program. It takes the kids together, and it gives them an opportunity not only to play athletics and have these different sports in this league, and it also, the officers are there to mentor them, and also not just help them with the sports and different activities, but also they help with it helps with their homework and their studies. Because, in order to get into athletics, you have to have the studies to go with that, and that's very important. And I think this is a very important program that needs to continue with our department and also the Erie Police Department.
Well, it's always a good thing to have the youth participate in something worthwhile that helps promote their own discipline and gives them some goals for the future. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's a good program.
And we also are trying to encourage them not to be afraid of, a uniformed police officer.
Right.
That if they're in need, please come right to us. Don't be afraid of us. Come talk to us, and we could, help you work things out. Not in just, we can be there, not just in a law enforcement way.
Well, I think that we have arrived at the place where we want you to address how the Sheriff's Department may be an elected department, but it's non-political in its functions. And I think that might be helpful for people to understand that you're there to take care of everybody, regardless of their political affiliation, and you can explain a little bit more about what you would do on a day-to-day basis.
Well, that's true. I mean, we're not a political office. We do treat everybody the same, no matter what political affiliation you come from, or any type of level of income, or any group that you might be in. We are there to protect the citizens of Erie County and be an arm to them, okay? And our office is always open, and you can come in, and we treat everybody. We're there to protect everybody. Even if somebody's in our police custody, we have to protect them just as we'd protect any other citizen on the streets of Erie County.
Wonderful. That's an excellent answer, I think. It always helps me understand better that the sheriff is really there for us. That's why you're there.
Are.
So if you want to talk a little bit more about pledges and promises that you'd like to make to the voters so they know what your intentions are.
Yeah, sure, that's great. I do have a pledge to the voters and to the deputies and the employees of our office. Number one is I need to increase the training of our office and look into some equipment that we're missing, because I think that's very valuable. Okay, not only will it bring officer safety, it'll also help increase public safety.
Sure.
But we can start that on day one. Okay, my other pledge is to have transparent communication, whether it's in our office workings or if it's in the public coming into our office to speak to us about certain topics. We're going to be there for you, and we're going to talk to you and talk you through these things that you would like to communicate about. The other thing is improve community relations. And I think with the training that I talk about amongst the deputies, that will improve that can help improve those relations. And then again, if we can get into that weed and seed program or that foot patrol program, we can definitely improve those relations, because they get to see you in a different light, not just in a cruiser driving by. So I think that's very important. And they feel like they can come up and talk to you. The children come up and talk to you. So I think we need to get back to that type of thing. The other thing I'd like to talk about is applying responsible use of our taxpayer dollars. I talk about this training, but again, we can't break the taxpayers' backs. This is just training and some monthly training that is going to involve some overtime. Okay, we're not going to be breaking the taxpayers' backs with this. Okay, but it'll improve our office. It'll improve the community of Erie County.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to throw that out there in case they missed it earlier on, that you are indeed the stepson of the astute and delightful Flo Fabrizio. Flo was a state rep. He had a great impact on our community. And actually, for those of you who may not be aware of it, he was implementing the legislation that helped us to get medical marijuana in place in Pennsylvania. And it was done with great attention to detail. He did, I think, a great job working with the other legislators. And he has alleviated a lot of unhappiness and anxiety because of the fact that he was able to help bring that to the community.
Yeah.
So as I'm bringing up anxiety, let us approach that we've had a terrible year in the United States. The pandemic.
Well, I'd like to, not to cut you off, but I'd like to bring up when you brought up my stepdad, the late Flo Fabrizio. After how I got into law enforcement a little bit was I was in college and I was taking up business administration, and I really didn't know what avenue I wanted to go with my life. So after talking to my father, my mother, and also my stepfather, Flo Fabrizio, kind of helped me go on this path of law enforcement. And that way we can give back to the community, but and it felt like it was a good fit for me. So that was a big part of my life.
Oh, that's good to hear. He always gave me wonderful advice too. So now, as we're starting to approach the last few minutes of our conversation here, Anthony, I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to know what you do in order to be able to, well, just enjoy your life. What are your hobbies?
Oh, my hobbies, I boat, I hunt, I fish, I'm an outdoorsman, and enjoy those types of things.
That's wonderful.
And, you know,
okay. Well, we started to talk about the pandemic and the awful year we've had in the U.S. So what are your views on all of the disruptive things that are happening in different communities and demonstrations and some of the unfortunate situations that have occurred? Just your thoughts.
Well, yeah, with the pandemic, it was very tough. It hit our office hard. You know, we couldn't get as involved as we wanted to be. We were trying to be very careful, social distance from people, wear our masks, but you also had a job to do. So it was a fine line there. And then, we ended up with the turmoil across the country, and that was just a terrible thing. And, we had some incidents downtown Erie, which we were involved in also to help out the City of Erie Police Department, the state police. We were involved in that. And we just don't ever want to cross that bridge again. I want to make sure that the deputies and everybody is prepared just in case it does happen again. But again, with this training and some community policing, we hope that never happens again. And we can open up these lines of communication and just try everything we can so that does not happen again.
That's encouraging to hear that, because I think a lot of people are concerned about what our future is going to be now that everybody's so worked up and upset about things. So anyway, is there anything else that you would like to share with us? You can sum up why you're running, tell folks whatever you'd like to let them know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I've been a lifelong Democrat. My goal on day one is to start improving our office, getting in there, getting the guys trained, finding some equipment for them, basic equipment that we are lacking. And right there will help Erie County be a safer place, okay? The deputies will have a better officer safety, okay? There'll be improved public safety with that.
Wonderful.
And Erie County will be a better place, a safer place to live and work. And so please remember me on May 18th, Anthony Sanfilippo for Erie County Sheriff. Thank you.
Okay, if I can just wrap up, I want to thank the audience, everybody who tuned in to get caught up with Anthony Sanfilippo for Erie County Sheriff, and also to tell you one of the reasons I wanted to support you was I remember years ago there was a little girl that was kidnapped and murdered in California. Their sheriff stood up and looked in the TV set and said, "I am coming for you. You better know I'm going to come and get you." And then he did. And I want a sheriff that instills that kind of confidence, and I think you're that man.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate this tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. It's been lovely spending some time with you.
Absolutely.
Helping people get to know you.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
My name is Brian Shank. Some of you might know me as County Councilman Brian Shank, but today I am here as candidate Brian Shank for Erie County Sheriff. Just a quick rundown on who I am. I'm a Harbor Creek graduate of class of 1981. I joined the United States Army in 1983 and was honorably discharged in 1987. After that discharge, I moved to California and joined the California Army National Guard, and I was an MP. I really enjoyed what I did as an MP, so I put myself through a program basically like Mercyhurst and became a police officer. I was a police officer with the Pittsburgh Police Department for a very short time. Then we decided to move back to Pennsylvania. Of course, my credentials did not transfer into Pennsylvania, so I decided to get a job as a corrections officer at SCI Cambridge Springs, and I did that for 20 years. In that 20 years, I belonged to two special teams. I was a FERT member, which is a fire and rescue team, and a CERT, Correctional Emergency Response Team member. After my retirement, I joined a local volunteer fire department and become a fire police officer. And I am now attending an EMR class to be certified as a state first responder. I have been endorsed by several national organizations, and the first one would be the Gun Owners of America, Firearm Owners Against Crime, and Open Carry PA. I also have been endorsed by many law enforcement professionals from the Pennsylvania State Police, Erie Police Department, Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, and state constables. My personal endorsements would be Bob's from Bob's Gun Shop, Joshua Prince Esquire, and Joe Blair from the Maryville Police Department. I've had many conversations with our deputy sheriffs of Erie County, and they brought some kind of issues to bear on what we need to fix. I was actually very shocked when the deputies explained to me that we didn't have fire extinguishers in our patrol cars. As a member of a volunteer fire department, I was a little shocked that we don't have fire extinguishers in the patrol cars. So I kind of took the initiative to reach out to our community, talk to several business owners, and we came up with a plan, and we have secured and purchased 25 fire extinguishers that we can mount in the patrol cars. These are no cost to taxpayers. These are private donations through personal and businesses. So this is the first step that I'm going to take to help correct the issues at the Sheriff's Department, and I've not even been elected there yet. As the sheriff, it's a very complicated position. In some areas, several states, the deputies and the sheriffs work together as the top law enforcement of the county. The Erie County Sheriff's Department has a different role, and that role is very complicated. There's many divisions, a lot of moving parts. And you know what? We're going to go through every department, and we're going to kind of clean it up and make sure that it's running professionally. As a member of council, we get to look at the budgets. The Erie County Sheriff has always been doing a good job with their budgets, but I think there's some things we need to change. I know the biggest issue that have been brought to my attention from the deputies is personal safety devices. Their vests are outdated, and they would really have nice new vests to make sure that they are in compliance with the guidelines that cover those. So these are something that we have to look at. We have to look at safety. We have to look at modernization of the Sheriff's Department. I know our deputies go out in the Warrants Division and they don't even have body cams. With the time of technology, there's no excuse for our deputies not to have body cams. One small investment could potentially save the taxpayers a ton of money with lawsuits if a use of force has been needed. The sheriff also has a very important job to make sure that he upholds the Constitution. They take an oath to support and defend that Constitution. As a member of the military, I've taken that oath. As a sheriff, I will take that oath again, and we will make sure that our constitutional rights in Erie County are protected. For more information, please stop by my website, www.sheriffshank.com. Please get out and vote. Every vote counts. These small races in a small county are won by literally a handful left or right. So please get out and vote. If you don't feel comfortable coming to your polling station, make sure you get your write-in ballot or an absentee ballot. But you know what? We're basically almost to the point of this pandemic where I feel very confident and my mom and dad feel confident going to the voting polls and voting in person. Thank you for your time. Please get out and vote, and let's be safe out there. Thank you.
How long have you lived in Erie County?
I am a lifelong resident. I was born here in 1969, Hammett Hospital, and I've lived here ever since.
All right. And how long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
I was hired at the Sheriff's Office after my time in the Marine Corps in 1996. It's been 25 years.
Have you had any administrative experience in your career at the sheriff's office?
I have. I started out as a per diem, moved on to the civil division. I was a civil deputy for 17 years, was promoted to lieutenant in charge of courthouse security and the court liaison to the courts. Consequently, I'm in the position of captain, third in command of the sheriff's office, and I oversee daily operations as well as oversee directly the criminal division.
Okay, and what makes you the most qualified candidate to be the next sheriff?
I believe that my leadership, my experience in the office, my exposure to the administrative side of the office will allow me to make a seamless transition to the office of sheriff. I believe we will provide services from day one. There will be no change in how the services are provided to the people of Erie County.
All right, and do you have any endorsements locally?
I do. Locally, I am endorsed by the sitting sheriff, John Loomis, as well as 7 other sheriffs throughout the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Nice. And as the sheriff, what are your goals for the future?
Well, I think a priority, and everybody I think will understand this, I firmly believe we need to improve relations with our community. We're blessed to have such a diverse community in Erie County, and I believe priority 1 needs to be finding the common ground for us to not only survive, but we have to get across the message. Law enforcement is not the enemy. The public's not the enemy. We have to find that common ground where we can all get it. We are blessed to have it here, and we need to move forward with that, as well as I think we need to forward our exposure in the police athletic league. You know, let's reach these children when they're young. You know, we have a school resource program right now where we have officers in the county schools, and I truly believe reaching out to them is where it all begins.
Okay, all right. And how would you be fiscally responsible?
Absolutely, that's a great question. I would work diligently with county council and the county executive to be as transparent as we could possibly be to maintain fiscal responsibility of our office.
Okay, and would you be accessible to the citizens of Erie County?
I pride myself on the fact that I would always have an open door policy for the public, for our office, people in the courthouse. If there is an issue regarding our office or some way we can provide assistance or provide better services, I truly believe you have to have that open door policy. They can email, they can stop in, they can call. We would assist in any way we possibly could.
Okay, and do you have any closing remarks?
I do. I would just like to say, I truly believe that I am the best qualified candidate for this position. Being endorsed by the sheriff, John Loomis, I believe his faith in me, his helping me by exposing me to the administrative side of things would make, like I said, a seamless transition to the office of sheriff. That being said, my leadership abilities, my proven track record, I would appreciate your vote May 18th. Please get out and vote.